What's going on, you guys? So today we're going to give you 5 exercises on how to increase your deadlift.
Let's get into it. First up on our list is the deficit deadlift. So it's like a conventional deadlift, except we're going to be a few inches off the ground. Obviously you don't want the bar crushing your toes, so something that's not going to crush your toes. So what we're doing in this position is we're getting much tighter in a lower position. So when you walk to the bar to a conventional deadlift, you're getting nice and tight, back straight, really focusing on driving with your quads off the ground, and our hips are much lower, so we're going to have to push forward a lot further during this movement. So going down, coming up. This is a great exercise for people who have problems out of the hole of the deadlift and the bottom of the deadlift.
Alright, so number 2 on the list is rack pulls. Now rack pulls, you set up so it's just about knee level or a little bit below. The whole point is you're above your feet, so it's a much shorter range of motion. And this is going to really isolate more of your back in the actual deadlift. So for people who struggle with the upper half of the movement, the locking out, definitely focus on rack pulling. So you just basically grab the bar like a normal deadlift, but you're already halfway up, so you're literally just going to lock out with your hips and come out. Now this exercise, you can definitely do a lot of overload work because you can go heavier than your normal deadlift because it's a shorter range of motion. So like I said, for anyone who struggles with the upper half of your deadlift, definitely incorporate rack pulls into your programming. Alright, now number 3 on the list is barbell hip thrust. This is a really important exercise for your deadlift because for your deadlift, a lot of your explosion is actually coming from your hips and glutes, and that's exactly what this exercise is focusing on. So, especially for those who do sumo deadlifts, you guys have a lot more leg drive when you're doing sumos because of the wider stance. But for these, bring the bar on your hips, get a nice base, you come up, coming from the ground, all the way up, all the way down, all the way up, all the way down. Now this is really going to help you, especially from the floor of your deadlift, because as soon as you get off the floor, you're activating a lot of your hips, and that's going to help you also lock out. So it's really helping your entire deadlift because your hips are always going to be involved, and when you're at the top, you're squeezing with your glutes. From the bottom, you're exploding with your hips, so get your hip thrusts involved into your workouts. And then number 4 on the list is Pendlay rows. Now Pendlay rows are going to work on your explosiveness. So you notice a lot of the top deadlifters, they have really wide lats. That's because your lats are engaged in the entire exercise. So for Pendlay rows, you can actually get a little wider stance than your normal deadlift if you're a conventional deadlifter. You're going to grab the bar and you're exploding from the bottom. So this is going to really help you explode in the bottom half of your deadlift. And then we get to the top, it's going to work on lat engagement the entire exercise. So we come up and then you're exploding. You go to more of a power row. So you come from the bottom, explode. And it's working a lot of your lats because that explosion is really going to isolate your lats at the top. From the bottom, you're also getting some hip activation. So this is a great exercise that will contribute to a stronger deadlift.
So, now our last tip is going to be do the variation of the deadlift that you don't normally do. So basically what I'm talking about is people like to do conventional and people like to do the sumo deadlift, but I want you to incorporate both in your training just so you can hit the weak areas that you may not be hitting on the other type of the deadlift. So, for example, if you are a sumo deadlifter and you can't do rack pulls, what you can do is get in your sumo stance and you can put blocks on the other side and do a block pull. It's basically the same thing. It'll just be much easier to set up if you're a sumo deadlifter. So, also, same thing if you're conventional. So you're going to know your variations that are going to work for you. And basically understand that when you're a conventional puller, it may have to do with your limb length, or if you're a sumo deadlifter, your limb length could have an effect. So basically, you need to figure out which type of deadlift is going to be right for you, and then do the other one in addition to your normal training. That way you can work on your weak areas that you may not hit during your typical lift. So conventional, coming down. And then we have our sumo. So these are 5 exercises that you can utilize to increase your deadlift.
Let's make them gains.
Number 1, build a social media following other than YouTube before you start a YouTube channel.
Now number 4 on the list.
Put that in the video. I didn't catch on. He's laughing. All right. Oh, let me restart.
Good. Now number 4 on the list is